If you want to achieve more, you should do less. Now, this sounds counterintuitive, but there are actually 3 important reasons for this. The first one is that your brain is like a battery. Throughout the day, this battery slowly gets drained. You cannot avoid this, but you can avoid unnecessary draining. And the first thing you can do to avoid this has something to do with your attention. Every time you switch between a task, a part of your attention is still in the previous task. So maybe you have fully moved on, but your brain hasn't. And this is called attention residue. Every time you switch between tasks, you drain your battery a little bit extra. In other words, you lose a bit of mental energy, which makes it harder to focus. The solution to this problem is deep work. Deep work is about focusing on one activity for 90 minutes, without any distractions. This saves mental energy because it avoids task switching. And there's also one other important benefit to it. According to science, we get better at a skill by developing more myelin around the relevant neurons. And the best way to do this appears to be focused work, because it isolates the relevant neurons. So simply put, you get more done and you develop skills faster if you focus on one task at a time. That brings us to the second point. This is something that I stole from one of the best war strategists in history, Sun Tzu. In his book, The Art of War, he explains a war strategy that also perfectly applies to productivity. Here's the strategy. In war, you have a limited amount of attacking powers. So in order to get the most out of your army, you need to concentrate your forces in order to force a breakthrough at the weakest point. Productivity is the same. Just like an army, you have a limited amount of attacking power. So the more problems you try to attack, the less strength you actually have for each problem. So you need to figure out the best place to attack, and then you need to concentrate your forces. So in other words, you need to figure out the highest leverage activity. You can use the 80-20 rule for this. This rule states that roughly 80% of outcomes come from 20% of inputs. So figure out the most important activity you can do to get closer towards your goal. Because this is the thing that you should actually be doing if you want to get the most done. So attack your problems at their weakest point to be extremely effective. It's also best to do this at the time of the day when your energy levels are at their highest. This allows you to do the most important activities when you're personally at your best. But even when you do this, you'll sometimes still fall off. And this is what the EDO system is for. The E stands for elimination. It means that you want to eliminate all activities that don't bring you closer towards your goal. However, this isn't just the bad activities. You also need to eliminate the good activities. Because we want to eliminate the bad and the good so that we can focus all of our time on the great. The D stands for delegation. If it's a high leverage activity that we don't enjoy but that we cannot eliminate, then we want to try to delegate it. This can be business activities like customer service, or it can be important habits that you repeat every day, like preparing your food. You will save a lot of time and mental energy when you delegate this, so it definitely makes it worth the money you spend on it. Only if you cannot eliminate or delegate the activity, you should do the third thing, which is optimizing. Create a system that makes it easy to repeat the activity. You can do this by removing distractions, having a set time when you do the activity, and having a clear process. This is why you should do less to achieve more. But this alone won't be enough to be productive. There are still other habits that you need to do to make sure that you get the most out of yourself. So to make sure that you achieve your goals as efficiently as possible, check out this video next to learn the habits that you need to develop to get ahead of 99% of people in the next few months.